Hi, everyone. Welcome to Domain Sherpa and happy holidays. Thank you for tuning in to the podcast with the best domain name and digital asset content in the world. Today, we have the Domain Sherpa 2023 Holiday Extravaganza with a bunch of repeat offenders, meaning a number of Sherpas who've been on the show this year, including Drew, Jen, Adam, Billy, Kamila, and the one and only John Berryhill. This is technically a down the rabbit hole, but really it's a holiday show, and we keep it pretty short and sweet where we do spread some holiday cheer and some Domain Sherpa knowledge, talking about AI and its potential impact on domains, which naturally has us discussing .ai domains and some of what we saw with that in 2023. We also talk a bit about some UDRP trends that we saw this year, and then we get some additional insight into the upcoming ICA Meetup from Cam herself. And even though we will cover it on the show, remember, it'll be in Las Vegas from January 17th to January 20th, so go register for that if you have not already done so. And last but certainly not least, we get into a list of domains coming up for auction on NameJet in our NameJet Gonna Jet segment, and includes names like clearmoon.com, shiningsun.com, and vader.com. And remember, if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, you can also watch the video version at DomainSherpa.com and on our YouTube channel at ds.tv. You can also listen to the show on Apple and Spotify and other podcast platforms as well. And please make sure to hit the like button on the episodes and the subscribe button on the channels where you watch or listen and help Domain Sherpa grow the pie. And big shout out to Dan.com, the number one place in the world to buy and sell your domains with a special platform made for domain investors. With that, it's now time to get into this festive episode of Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains, and happy holidays. What's up, Sherpa Network? Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Festivus, Happy Boxing Day. It is that time of year. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Jonathan Tenenbaum, a.k.a. JT, a.k.a. Jayon, a.k.a. Sherpa Winfrey, a.k.a. John Burgundy, the host and producer of Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. Today's show is another Domain Sherpa Holiday Spectacular, Holiday Extravaganza, exclamation points all over the place, bringing on some of the Sherpas who've been on the show in this past year, a celebration of the year and everything, and to thank them for taking their time, sharing themselves, their time, their knowledge, and expertise. As you know, this is the show where we get into the minds of folks in the domain space, successful domain investors, and other involved types, using examples to learn strategies, tactics to become more successful domain name investors ourselves, or just talk a little bit of smack, and just do what we do. So, these are the experts, some of the best of the best, and people that I'm very thankful to call friends. And we also have John Berryhill here today too. And it's all love, man. I'm just playing. But and just fantastic people in general. This is kind of a down the rabbit holes we do with our holiday shows. Big shout out to Jen. Appreciate you and everything that you've helped us do this year. And so again, we're going to do things a little bit differently since this is kind of a different kind of show. We'll do the grand opening. That's what's happening right now. Introing the Sherpas, doing all that kind of stuff. A few AKAs. We're going to skip the domain game, and instead we're going to do a little year in review, just kind of cover a few topics. Got a few to talk about, and we'll see what folks want to get into. Then a little name jack and a jet. We do have a list of names to kind of talk about, things we like, don't like, maybe some stuff related to talk about with those. And then grand closing, if there's time, anything that we have not already covered, what's going on in the domain space, looking at market trends, allowing our guests to mention, promote anything they feel like talking about. All right, with that, let's go ahead and introduce the Sherpas right now. Over to my right, I think the first time officially on the show, at least since I've been host, although she did make a little appearance on our LA show. We've got Kamila Sekowitz, aka Chamillionaire, aka Lights Kamila Action, aka Kamila Ice CA, aka Miss Elizabeth, New Jersey. Big shout out to Randy Savage and Elizabeth, New Jersey. So she's the executive director of the ICA for the folks who do not know. And we'll get into a little bit of what the ICA has going on, including the meetup that's coming up in Las Vegas in January, which we're super excited about. Cam, what is up? How are you? And welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I was so curious about the AKAs.
Everybody's always like, ooh, what's it how bad is it gonna be? It's really more dad pun type stuff than anything. So it's usually not too bad. So But yeah, welcome.
Thank
All
you
right,
so
let's
much.
keep it moving. Down to my lower right, we got my boy John Berryhill, aka the Rainmaker, aka the Legal Eagle, Beanie Siegel, aka Lance Armstrong, aka John Berryhill Street Blues, and aka John the Sweeter, the Berryhill, the Sweeter, the Juice. Let's go. What's up, dude? How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you for being here. For those of you who don't know, we had two fantastic down the rabbit holes with John earlier this year, getting into some really important stuff. I mean, he's one of the best legal minds in the entire domain space and the entire internet. And we went over a bunch of legal topics that folks that are involved in domains, really, if you're not up on the things that we talked about on that show, I would tell you to go back and check it out and go learn you something, because there were a lot of really, really important things in there for folks that don't otherwise know that stuff. So please go back and check that out. All right. So let's keep it moving. I'm going to go right below me in the middle. We got the one and only William Tenenbaum, a.k.a. Billy the Kid, a.k.a. Willie Whiskins, a.k.a. Mr. Ed Itor, a.k.a. Captain Cut It, Billy. What's up, dude? How are you? I think that's the first time we threw some AKAs at you, although you have been on the show before. What's up?
I like it. All approved.
I like getting you out from behind the camera, putting you in front of it. You know what I mean? You are the better looking of the Tenenbaum brothers, so it's all good. I can say it. That's where no, it's you. No, it's you. You're like, no, it's me. Anyway, it's all good though. It is all good. Welcome to the show, my dude. Very happy to have you here. Let's go a little bit further down. Let's go further down to my boy. We got Adam Strong, aka John Wick, aka Up and Adam, aka Adamantium, aka Adam Strong to Quite Strong. How's your portfolio, Fokker? Aka Adam, you are only as strong as your weakest back link. What's up, man? How we doing? Coming in from the cold winter woods of Wisconsin with all that alliteration.
I'm all right. I'm a little under the weather, so.
Said that I
isn't Tan? Hey, I had a question. Isn't Tannenbaum? Isn't that a Christmas song or something like?
Hey, that. Thank you for bringing that up. You know what I'm saying?
It literally means Christmas tree or
fir
tree.
AKA Christmas boy.
Yes. And the surname,
yeah, it's the literal translation of the German word for the Christmas tree.
Yeah,
dude, I'm here when you.
Oh, Tannenbaum.
Oh, Tannenbaum, you know what I'm saying? Like, how big are your branches or something? I don't. It's funny. We should know the song. We should know it. We should sing it as a family. I don't know. We don't do that. Billy,
how big are your branches, Tannenbaum?
That's a pretty evergreen. That's
very
pretty
big. I wear a size 15 shoe. Tell somebody. You know what I'm saying? Let's go. But anyway, all right. Enough. But yeah, that's
softwood.
What's that?
This is a Christmas edition, John. Holiday
this is a kid show,
John.
It's a family show. It's a holiday show. All right, well, keeping it moving over to my left. We got my boy, the one and only Andrew Rosner, aka Morpheus, aka the Dirk Diggler of digital assets. See, he hates that one, and he even probably hates it worse when I stumble over it. Aka Bob Lee Swagger, the sniper, aka Drew. Drew got what I need. Aka every Rosner has its thorn. Aka never gonna give Drew up. Aka the Grinch. You know what I'm saying? You got the appropriate background. I was saying earlier on the before we jumped on, I feel like I'm definitely Max to Drew's Grinch, and I don't know how I feel about that. I came to that realization, and it was like, ooh.
I don't know why nobody else can seem to hold it that you can be an optimist and a realist at the same time.
Well, you tell me when you turn on when you flip that optimist switch, or because if that's what you think it's on all the time,
it's a pendulum.
We can talk about the definition of optimist, I think. But it's all good. It's all good for the English majors out there. They're like, he does not have it right. It's not what it is. But anyway, all good, man. Welcome to the show. Another great year in the books, and glad that you're able to tune in. I know it's later for you than I guess except for Jen. I mean, it is kind of all over the place here as far as our time zones. And then
Jen's between early and late.
Yeah, right. I heard.
I'm gonna round up to early.
Oh, right, she's early morning.
Yeah, I'm rounding up to early.
Yeah, I'm early morning, but I did hear like a few episodes ago. I remember Amar was having a whinge about having to get up at 6 a.m. or something to record with you guys, and you're all like, "Thanks, Amar. Thanks so much. Like, you're awesome." And I'm sitting there going, 6 a.m. Try 1 or 2 a.m. my time.
That's a conscious decision. That's the price you pay for Live the Beach. On the other side of the world.
See, it's your fault. You know what I'm saying?
Everything
that's basically what he said.
Obviously, it's my
I feel
fault.
like that's like Australian shaming right there. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna take it up with HR
for a change. And,
it's crazy. So, anyway, all good. And speaking of which, let's go ahead and do the last, but certainly not least, AKA we got my girl Jen Sale, AKA Aussie Osborne, AKA Olivia Newton-Jen, AKA Crocodile Dundee, AKA Dingo Star, AKA Mel Born to be Wild, AKA Sipping on Gin and Juice, AKA the Ever Queen, AKA Alice with our Down the Rabbit Hole series as very appropriate. And, she's always down to Sculla Ferry, you know what I'm saying? Like
exactly what I'm here for.
It is, but anyway, and that is actually not an inappropriate reference, by the way. We're still maintaining our family show status. So, all right, look, I've done a lot of talking here.
John is biting his tongue hard right now.
Well, it's like if he actually watched the show, maybe he'd know what we're talking about. But he's like, I don't watch this shit. He's like, I don't even watch this ones I'm on. Like you guys are lucky that I'm even willing to log in.
No, but, I was just stuck on the Australian shaming part because I don't think Jen ever did tell me what her grandparents were convicted of.
Yeah, lots of things.
Yeah,
just just long. The list is long.
I knew it was going to be that kind of party. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. It is. It's a beautiful time of the year. And we're all happy to be here. It's been a really wild 2023. Very excited for 2024. And obviously we're here having a good time and everybody up here.
Ramp.
What's that?
The wild ramp. We're just like at the bottom of the ramp.
Oh yeah. According to Drew, right now it's the roller coaster and we're doing the top of the hill. You know what I'm saying? And but hey, look, and that actually brings up a thing, that I want to say. Look, in this time of the year, definitely make sure not everybody's doing as good as everybody else. So definitely make sure to reach out to folks, check in on folks, say hello, and spread that love, that cheer, that support, because it's important. You probably don't even realize how important those kinds of things are. So take the extra time and the extra effort. And if you can, reach out, say hello, help somebody. It's always a good thing to do around this time of year. So, all right, with that, let's dive into kind of like, a couple of topics, year in review kind of stuff. We don't have to get too formal about it. But what I'd like to do first is, Cam, if you don't mind, I've been hyping up the ICA meeting and that's coming up in January. So, on these shows. And now that you're actually here, I would like it, if you don't mind, just kind of letting people know what's going on.
Yeah, so this is our second annual member meeting. The first one happened last January. We had about 100 people, I want to say. We are looking at like 120, 130, 140, I don't know, this year.
Awesome.
So it's grown a little bit, but we're still keeping it small, relatively small for a meeting. The ICA only has about 180, 90. We might be at about 200 members at this point. We've grown a little bit this year. So a big chunk of the membership is actually coming to the meeting, which is pretty impressive because we have members from all over the world. Most of our members are in the US, but we have people coming from all over, even Australia. And I'm sorry, Jen, you can't be there.
But yeah, we'll be there. We're going to try to do there. Yeah, we're going to try to do a live Domain Sherpa on location.
She doesn't care about you being there, JT. She cares if I'm there.
No, I know. She already said that, and then you got sad because you can't be there. You know what I'm saying? And we had that moment.
No, they don't let her leave the U.S.?
Well, it's about that grandparent thing.
She's on a no-fly list, so.
That's true.
But yeah, you guys are there, and yes, as you said, we're going to try to do a Sherpa on location. It'd be great.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is kind of splitting the meeting between content and having fun and networking. So it'll be a lot of networking and chances to hang out. We're doing the first day is basically just activities. We're breaking into smaller groups. The biggest one right now, I think, is the pickleball tournament. Which has taken ICA by storm. I don't know. It seems like half of our members are pickleball players. So Amar, too bad Amar's not here because he could tell you about it. He's the one organizing that tournament.
Oh,
so,
He's
What are the
all in.
dates?
I'm sorry.
What are the dates? Because this is your daily
I
opportunity.
sent them to you, but yes, that's very important. So January 17th is in the evening. That's when we start for those who are there. That's a Wednesday. We're going to the Sphere.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what we're gonna kick it off with. For those who are there, probably about 70% of the attendees. And then it starts on Thursday, the 18th in the morning. We'll hang out for a little bit, then break into our activities. We might do a broker meeting in the morning. Still trying to work out the schedule. We'll break into our activities, and then in the evening we have an opening reception. So that should be a lot of fun. Then the next day we'll do content sessions, town hall, just guru tables, talk about anything that's important to our members. So that's all on Friday. And then in the evening, we have another reception and another mentalist. We had a mentalist / magician last year. People loved him. So we're bringing back, not the same guy, but we're bringing another mentalist. It hasn't been announced yet. So there you go. I'm announcing it here.
Okay. Let's go. That's cool.
And then there'll be some light content on Saturday. And then whoever is still in town will probably organize something like we did last year, maybe a show, or we might visit Monty's Crash and Burn, his new restaurant in Vegas. So we'll see.
If you have not registered yet for the event, go ahead and do that. Get the hotel if it's still there, all that good stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of us there. Hey, and I think, and if you're not a member of the ICA yet, then please get your together and sign up, because, the amount of great stuff that the ICA does for the space is like so important. And, and if you're literally absorbing this kind of content, and you're probably also getting a lot of benefit from the work that they're doing. So supporting them would be a really, really great thing to do as well. And, and I think it sounds like too, the agenda is still a little bit flexible. So if there's something that people would particularly really like, I guess, if people reach out to you, Cam, is there an opportunity to maybe maybe some of the expert tables or some of the stuff can be
Yep. So we always do. We always ask our members what they want to hear and what they want to discuss. I am actively talking to a lot of our members, but if anybody here or anybody listening to us has ideas for what's relevant right now, absolutely let us know. And as JT said, if you're not a member, sign up, and who knows, you might even lead an expert table.
There you go. See,
I think you should have a panel on the long-term impact of AI on domain names.
You're the second person who suggested it today.
It's a topic I'm totally fixated on, because I obviously have a lot of skin in the game in more ways than one, and I think in the short term we have all benefited from AI as an emerging technology simply because of the amount of company creation, the amount of funding that has gone in, which has led to domain sales, as every emerging tech does. But long term, it clearly is going to have a tremendous impact on the way that we interact with the internet and the information on the internet. And so I'm increasingly feeling good about the position of domain names, but I'm far from a certain position. So I think that's a really interesting topic that I love. There's many people in the domain industry give their opinion on, so that we can, maybe hone in on what the right answer might be.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear John's opinion actually on this topic.
You mean the tech? Did you mean? Well, I didn't know when you said AI if you meant the technology or the TLD.
No. The TLD is in that haze of irrelevance, John.
Oh,
well, so timeout. Wait, hold on, because again, John doesn't actually watch the show, so we might be able to get one more view of the show we did last week with the Booth brothers, who are very heavily invested in the .ai domain space. And they've had some pretty nice sales and some pretty big success, and they've also invested a decent amount of money into some other names, and they're going to doing some build outs on some stuff. So Andy and James came on, and and I thought Andy did a very nice job of articulating kind of where he's coming from. And I think and Drew's been more bearish on the idea of the .ai domains as a long term play as an investment. There's no secret there. So they ended up probably with more common ground than less, or more than people probably would have thought. And I thought it was a great show, and we've gotten a ton. Probably it's been our most viewed show so far this year, except for the ones you were on, John, because everybody loved those. And
I would have loved to have been on for that.
Well, let's get some feedback now because it'd be
You can
interesting.
watch it. You can watch it. Go to ds.tv, John.
All right. Bye.
Click. He's gone. So what'd you think?
Yeah, well, one of the questions I would have asked, someone who's heavily invested in AI is just offhand if they knew how many people constitute the legislature of Anguilla.
Yes, that's an interest, and that's such an angle that you would bring up, and I think I've even seen you post that online, like in comments and stuff. Right? Like, what about the risk, you call it regulatory risk or what have you, around the actual TLD itself? Because for the audience who doesn't realize, .ai is a country code TLD, and it is it's Anguilla, right? And so now all of a sudden, I think that .ai domains are making up some chunk of the GDP of Anguilla. And therefore, they are a lot more important and, to the folks there. And you have to wonder what kind of impact that will ultimately have and how stable is the government, or how, call it, stable is the ecosystem just internally there between the folks that run the registry and the government itself. So
who's going to want to slaughter that pig? Listen, I just saw today that, I talked about this months ago. I said, you read the fine print when you're investing into these country code domains. In Colombia, for example, the .co, anything that you do regarding marijuana, and there are endless companies that have built an entire brand presence on a .co domain name, and it is completely illegal and is subject to seizure. It is subject to takedown at any given moment that they so choose. And I don't know how you could possibly believe that you're making a good investment on behalf of your investors, yourself, your business, if you are on a bed of quicksand. And, there are perfectly legitimate uses, but you have to understand, so I just saw today that, in the fine print of the Anguillan registry agreement, you cannot be a crypto exchange. You cannot be anything related to the transfer of a digital asset. And yet, I guarantee you there are a large number of crypto-related businesses operating on a .ai domain name. They are subject to seizure and subject to takedown at any time. That's not legal advice. I don't know. I'm just a guy who likes domain names. And I don't like to make investments into things that
I'm just a green
not.
guy wearing a Santa outfit, stealing Christmas from people. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
me
why
and my
would you
dog
listen to
Max.
me?
Other than that, I don't know.
Don't
By
listen
the way,
to me.
that there is an RV, in case anybody's wondering what my shirt says, which I
But
took
my
from one of my
question
kids.
actually was not about .ai domain names, although I really love. I love punching that punching bag. So I'd be happy to go several rounds at that. But I actually was asking about the impact of AI more broadly on domain names longer term, like let's say 5 years out or 10 years out. What are they going to in any way obsolete or dilute the value or the impact of a domain name on the way that we interact with the internet? In your opinion, John?
Yeah, and I'd also then like to
I want to hear
Adam's
Adam's opinion too.
Yeah.
That's if you're a young person in this industry or any other industry, number one, don't listen to the old people. Number two, as an old person, I hear so many things that rhyme over the years, and the notion of, apps, smartphones and apps were going to upend domain names because people would not use URLs to navigate the internet. The browsers are going to go away and apps will become dominant and domain names will be submerged, in another layer of tech, just like IP addresses. And it's weird because there's some things that are durable and it's hard to come up with, and maybe someone has done an analysis of things that are, for example, telephone numbers. Telephone numbers, we use telephone numbers, evolved from the mechanical dialing systems of the 1920s that, dictated the format by which, we use telephone numbers. They never went away. things like fax numbers. Well, I mean, it's still a number. It's still accessible through the number, but fax came and went, and things you do through the telephone, have changed. But the numbers never went away, and I don't know why that is. People want numbers in desirable area codes and so forth. But is this piece of technology going to render domain names irrelevant? Every time that question has been asked and that bet has been made, that bet has lost. Now, ultimately, any long shot bet, given enough repetitions, will win. But every tech trend that comes along, is this going to impact domain names? And I've been screwing around with domain names since the 1990s. And they have not failed to increase in significance and value. So I would not necessarily. I don't see how AI changes that. In any particular way, but it could just be the limited vision that I have because I'm an old guy who's, really good at listening to new ideas and saying, well, that's not going to work. That's crap.
Take your fist too, John.
JT, you're muted.
Yeah.
I love that perspective. I think that's awesome. And and obviously for our business, that's, we'll take that result. Adam, what do you think? Do you agree as a fellow old guy? Maybe not as old, but
well, yeah. Well, I'm just glad that I was included in the list of opinion makers here.
I said Jen. I said Jen. I said
for the
Jen.
record, I said I want to hear as many people in the domain industry's opinion as possible on this subject.
I'm just messing. Yeah, I kind of I'll disagree a little bit with John in the sense that I think that mindshare, over time, mindshare gets chipped away. I mean, the technology of phone numbers is still around, but we're all using the internet to communicate now more than picking up the landline phone and things like that. So I think just mindshare just gets chipped away, and the internet seems to be stagnating in terms of growth, numbers of users and things like that. If that happens, and then the mindshare chipping away becomes.
But think about what you just said though, with the telephone and the telephone numbers and the mindshare telephone numbers. What did they get? They got an overlay, same way like the domain names.
Yeah. I mean,
IP addresses, right? They got an overlay. So now you search your phone for a name.
Yeah. Look, my kids don't use the internet for anything. I mean, they don't. They really don't use websites. The only reason they know about domain names is because their old man makes money and buys them shoes with the money from domain names. They might go to a domain name if there's a new sneaker drop or something like that. But look, I mean, they're buying things through apps. They're talking to their friends through Snapchat. They're not even using. They have absolutely no use for phone numbers. Other than it's just part of their phone, and that's they don't remember phone numbers like we did when back in my day.
Yeah, well, okay. Yeah.
I don't know. I will say
I was extremely proud of one of my sons that when he was arrested and needed to be bailed out, he did remember my phone number.
I do think that is one.
If your kids are anything like me,
1-800-DAD-HELP, but which made it easier, right?
But that is a good point. Actually, phone numbers is a good example of something that's gotten lost. Yeah,
lost, but still in use, right? But I mean, that's the thing. And I guess from a naming perspective, right, the vanity phone numbers are no longer like 1-800 got junk. Or something.
Hold on. So that is continues to be a very profitable business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On Adam. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Smash me, John, please. Oh, actually, that's not appropriate words. Actually, I learned that too. Smash doesn't mean what doesn't mean the same thing anymore.
Oh no!
So please don't smash me.
All right, Jen, what do you think?
Oh, what, you care?
I very much care. Just so you know. And Drew cares too.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
sure.
Of course I care.
Look, I actually don't think my opinion differs too much from Drew's when it comes to the AI name. Like, I think AI tech is just in its infancy, so we're just right at the beginning. I mean, we're not really. I mean, think back to, so like these emerging technologies have always been around. Okay. So it's just going to, but we're on like some kind of crazy trajectory right now in terms of the tech behind it all. Then there comes like the naming side of it. And I think for some time, like AI will be this like trend word or term or phrase to ride, which is what investors do. Like if you've been in the space for long enough, like this is not the first like trend wave that we've seen in an extension or with a term that's just blowing up. And there'll be a lot of people who make really good cash in the short term on it. Do I think the AI like TLD and name long term will be around? Maybe in some cases, but I don't think. I think that this conversation that we're having in 5 years' time, it's not going to matter. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think, and I think it's interesting because you're right. Like there are several distinctions here. One, we're talking about AI as the tech, as disruptive, right? In another way, we're talking about AI as a sort of the hot term, that is leading to all sorts of domain activity and registrations. And then we're also talking about .ai as the domain extension and as a sort of next best alternative to .com and that kind of thing. So, and I think it is interesting because these all these things obviously, sort of commingle, as we kind of talk through them. And it's even as I look at the bottom of my Zoom app right now and I see there's an AI companion now, right? So, as you talk about this infiltration into, and the use and things, also worth mentioning, I think, is that afternic came out with its Q4 report, but also said that AI plunges in the aftermarket sales rankings from a term standpoint to now this is just afternic and it's just in what they, and I mean, maybe it's just as October, right? So, and that was one of the
and I saw that too. And I was a bit like, oh, I think it's a little bit early to be like, oh, AIs are dropping out of the market.
I think there's also, no, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
Yeah, I think, these things get front run in a way. Like domain investors are pretty good at like, oh, AI is a hot new trend. And then they go get every single, that they clear out that entire namespace with every meaningful possible and non-meaningful possible term related with, with AI.com, whatever. And so, there's always going to be that huge, bump up front. And I don't know what period of time that lasted. And then I would expect it to sort of.
And to make Andy's point. Yep. And to make Andy's point from the show that we had that everybody should go watch if they haven't seen it yet, including John, he would say, like, you can't really be careful when you're cherry picking, because we were saying, oh, the escrow.com report from Q3. And he's like, hey, man, not all the sales are going through escrow, just like not all the sales are going through afternic. And if you want to cherry pick a month or a quarter to say, hey, this means this is no longer, in the purview and the lexicon and all these things, like, you've got to be careful because that kind of stuff, you shoot yourself in the foot that way. So just playing devil's advocate a little bit. All right, well, cool. Look, AI continues to eat the world. Obviously, it's a very important and, huge thing that is, such front of mind for all of us in a lot of different ways. So interesting stuff.
Media Options is the industry's leading domain broker specializing in domain acquisitions, high-value domain sales, and domain name consultation. As pioneers and thought leaders on the subject of the domain aftermarket and domain name value, plus through their clear domain acquisition service, Media Options offers startups and established corporations an unparalleled scope of high-value domain options, providing access to domain names and curation technologies not available elsewhere. Media Options believes in the power of a great domain name and is dedicated to helping you obtain yours. Call or email today to put a domain to work for you.
Another sort of year in review kind of question. This is for John. From a UDRP standpoint, right? We follow a lot of these, and obviously you are one of the best in the world at when it comes to UDRP defense, and and you do a lot of plaintiff side. Would you call it plaintiff on the UDRP front? Like
I do a few complaints. Yeah.
So, but obviously, if you get a UDRP, he's one of the guys. Zach's another one. Although Zach got an invite to show up on the show, and he said he was not going to come on as long as John was on the show. So, I jokes. But do you think that we saw anything, with all the UDRP activity over the course of this year? You think we saw, and maybe I should have probably asked you this question ahead of time so you could have thought about it. I don't mean just to spring it on you, but do you think a lot of the stuff that you saw generally favored registrants or favored, meaning like, domain investors versus the folks bringing the complaints versus the other way around? I mean, what do you think? The reason I bring this up, sorry, let me preface this, is that the ICA is doing some really fantastic work trying to educate panelists for the various, WIPO and otherwise that, where the UDRP, activity, where the hearings, where the body that oversees all that stuff. And I think that the work they're doing there is some of the most important, best stuff that I've seen them do to date, aside from the meetup that's coming up in Las Vegas, January 17th to the 20th. Make sure you're there. So do you see any of that helping? Do you see, things kind of shifting in a positive way for domain investors there?
Yeah, I do. I think I might have mentioned this in one of the appearances earlier, that the trend, some people will look at, oh, well, here's the percentage that are of UDRP complaints that are granted, and here's the percentage that are denied, and what does this mean? But what's interesting is, as a share of complaints that are denied, the ones that are deemed abusive are really huge. The odds of a UDRP complaint being deemed abusive are really high, and there's like a polarization between the outcomes that, yes, these are no-brainer, run-of-the-mill, this is exactly what the UDRP is for. And then, as embodied, there was a decision this week, elementlogic.com, I think was the domain name. So if you search that, you'll see it in the recent ICA review. One of the great things the ICA is doing is doing these, quick, rapid case summaries. I'd love to write some of them, but I'm not as fast as Zach and Anchor are in my, recreational docket. But that one decision that issued this week,
but
really
far more entertaining.
embodies, that trend where the panelist you looked at the complaint and says, well, I went on archive.org and I saw that the person who is the respondent seems to have been using the domain name for a business that was named this back in 2000. And he goes out of his way to say that, and the complainant's attorney, the complainant's attorney, who has a really funny name, and an even stranger website, but the complainant's attorney, demonstrated in their filings like they had relied on archive.org, for something, and should have known this. And it was more, the UDRP panelist was a little bit more active in realizing that, for whatever reason, a lot of cases don't get responded to. All right. And there may have been a lack of notice. There may have been, a stale email address with the registrar. Somebody could have been sick. Somebody could have died. All kinds of things can happen that don't necessarily accommodate a 20-day mandatory arbitration notice coming from someone you've never heard of and a policy you've never heard of just because you have a domain name. So there is, I think, more of a willingness for panelists to more critically evaluate the UDRP complaints than in the past, and to do a little poking around and to say to the complainant's attorney, you should have done a little bit of due diligence before you filed this, or because a lot of WHOIS information is masked now, at the time that the registrant data is provided to the complainant in the UDRP proceeding. Now there's this sort of preliminary procedure that goes on. You should have maybe taken a second look at the fact that, you filed a UDRP against a surname, and it at least appears on the surface that the registrant happens to have this surname. Now, Years ago, there are panelists who would have said, but he didn't show up and we don't know if that's really his name. So we're going to transfer the domain name. Now, there are panelists who are willing to just look at the whois information and say, you know, that's his surname, right? I mean, so, Joe Microsoft, wherever you are, congratulations. Don't respond to your UDRP complaint.
So, well, look, and I think that the overarching piece there that I'm really happy to hear is that, that the efforts are working, that's helping domain investors. And, again, just a big shout out to the ICA and to you and to Zach and all the folks that, fight that fight on a regular basis. So,
yeah,
cool.
It doesn't happen by itself. The rock does not just, magically roll uphill.
Yes, 100%. So, all right, cool. Well, look, we've only got about 15 minutes because we've got hard stops across the board here. So we've got a NameJet list that let's pull up real fast and talk about a couple of names and see what people like, don't like. We'll spend about 10 minutes. We're going to do about 5 minutes on an outro, and then we're going to leave everybody to the rest of their holiday week and adventures. So, all right. So, Adam, I'm gonna go to you first. You're like, damn, I don't even have it. I don't even have the list.
JT, can you put it in the chat?
Yeah, 100%. I love
that. Thank you so much.
I like feeling useful. Boom.
Thank you.
All right. So the list is there.
My mic wasn't even on, and I was talking trash about you.
Oh, well, maybe I had you muted on purpose,
Yeah, exactly.
That's karma.
Yeah.
So, all right. And if you need a second, Jen, you want to maybe take the first stab at it and see if there are any names that you think are. Now, look, in your defense, I know that you are premium domains mostly only, and a lot of these are just looks like the bottom 5% of Adam's portfolio, but try to pick a name maybe.
Nah.
Never seen the bottom 5% of Adam's portfolio.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We'll leave it that way. I do like I like Artscape. That's nice. I don't mind any of Drew's going to come for me on this, but any of the like wellness or alternative names like brands like Clear Moon, I like that. Shining Sun, I like that. Herbal Care, any of those. Yeah. Anyway.
No, I think that makes sense. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I like Clear Moon a lot. Shining Sun, I saw those as almost like interesting, kind of like there was a sun and a moon one, so I put them both on the list.
Well, and we have fullmoon.com, and that one gets a ton of interest.
That's an awesome.
Ton. So anything moon, fullmoon.com.
Oh, that's a great name.
Yeah.
Fullmoon.com is a great name.
Adam, I think are you still muted? Because
Full Moon is a powerful.
I don't know if you're just messing with us.
Yeah, it is, and we get a lot, like every other day. Like we have come close a couple of times, but where we've priced it, as you guys can imagine, I don't even know. Maybe it might even have a price on it at the moment. I'm not sure, but you can imagine what we're pricing it for. Yeah,
that name is really, really great. All right. Well, cool. Well, very cool. Drew, while Adam is working out his technique, he's in, it's the internet's not great. Oh, you good? All right. Well, what about you, man? What do you think? I mean, is anything jumping out that you think is terrible? Good? Anything you hate or you think folks should stay away from for some reason?
Yeah. I don't know. It's not a great list, but there's some mid. It's a mid.
Some middies.
He's hanging with his kids too much. He's like, this list has no riz.
It's not
this list
lit.
has no riz.
Yeah. I wouldn't smash this list.
Stop.
I know. We're old and it sucks.
Yeah, John was holding up ce.org, I think, is his favorite. So I'm gonna jump on that one.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's
what that was.
I like toy cars. I don't know. I got kids I got boys that are still into toy cars and they're high schoolers. I mean, all of them are just, they're just mid. I don't see anything standing out. Nothing I buy. Yeah.
All right, Drew.
All right.
I mean, my favorite name on the list is moneyfactory.com because I don't know anybody that doesn't want a money factory. And so your total addressable market is everybody.
Yes.
So I love that name. I think it's a great name. I think it looks like it's got, bunch of traffic, and I have no idea if it's trademarked, but I mean, I don't know, how do you trademark a money factory if you're going to actually create a money factory?
When we were kids, Billy can attest to it. Our parents were like, "What do you think? We have a money tree?" It was a money tree was the thing. We have a money tree in the backyard.
Money tree's even better.
Tenenbaum.
Yes,
Money factory, you got to have employees.
Tenenbaum is a money tree.
Money factory, you got to like pay the electricity bill. You got employees. Money tree, you just the sun shines.
Just need a shining sun and a clear moon and a little bit of water and maybe and you might even be a bird watcher. I don't know.
Get your kids to go out and pick the money off the money tree.
Yes.
So I like moneyfactory.com a lot. I also like Toy Cars. I think that's a great name. I actually, Jen, I love Clear Moon and Herbal Care and Shining Sun. These are great. These are all, I think Adam is underestimating a few of these. I think these are good names.
Yeah, well,
but these are names that you're going to sell in the $10,000 to $25,000 range, most likely. And
so then it just depends on how much you're paying to get them, right? So, if you can get them less than 10x of that, if you can get these at 1,000 or better. I mean, all these are worth bids. It's just in back orders. It's just a question of at what point is it too rich, and is no longer worth it. As we say on the show a lot of the time. You make money.
I like Avow.com is it's a powerful little brand. Avow.com.
Yeah.
It's a little sleeper.
I don't mind that one. Yeah, that's a nice one.
So, all right, John, what about you?
What about Vader? Oh, actually, could you ask John about Vader?
Yes, this is exactly. Oh, see, Jen, you know what I'm saying? This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm saying.
Vader's not the interesting one. And I don't compete with the people whom I serve as clients, as my customers,
constituents.
I don't participate in the domain market. So, but I do look at a lot of lists of domain names, but for different reasons. All right. And what I thought was interesting is, so when I look at a list like this, if someone says, "Hey, these are my names," all right, my attention is immediately drawn to three of them. Because they are names where I want to say, okay, but all right. And the one I want to talk about, this is so amazing, was what I was holding up was this symbol, CE, Conformity European. Now I noticed that within my arm's reach, that symbol appears. All right. I don't know if you can see it here on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
All right. That symbol appears on the bottom.
Oh, there it is again.
My mouse.
There it is again.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, most of you. So I have 4 electronic items: a mouse, a keyboard, and a microphone, and a personal appliance. That all have this certification mark on them. This is a particular type of mark. It's like the underwrite. It's the European equivalent of what we used to call in the U.S. the Underwriter Laboratories mark. It certifies that the device, object, what have you, conforms with relevant European regulations, and it is a very highly controlled, highly policed mark. Now, it also means common era, civil engineer, lots of other things. So when you look at something like that, because there are people still who say, "Oh, hey, wow, CE is on everything. That's really valuable." It's like, well, no. Then if you're going to use it for anything, or if you're going to park it, and the ads start coming up, compliance certification testing or something like that, you're going to have trouble. The next thing that my eyes focus on are lvvl.com. You always want to be careful with LV means Las Vegas. It also means Louis Vuitton. So anything with LV or some sort of motif on LV, because it's LV and then LV backwards, Louis Vuitton could say, oh, well, that's somehow confusing to one of our marks that they're quite rabid about. And then the next one that Jen wanted to ask about was Vader.com, which was the biggest all-time movie spoiler in the Netherlands, because Vader is the Dutch word for father. So we want to avoid evil galactic bad guys. And concentrate instead on the meaning of father, unless
can you do the Luke? I am your father.
Actually, there was a one sort of touching parental moment between Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker around Christmas, where Luke. I know what you're getting for Christmas. And Luke said, how do you know? And he said, I could feel your presence.
That is, dude, that's, I mean, and even as a purveyor,
come for the legal advice, get the dad joke.
For the points.
As a huge Star Wars fan, I love that.
Well, anyway, real quick, just to tie it, by the way, just to tie it back to an earlier show that when we talked about the Mandela effect, it's actually like, I don't even think that's the quote. Everyone remembers him saying it like, Luke, I am your father, but that's not exactly what he says. He says, no, I am your father, or something like that. So it's just, it's just interesting, because I forget which show we watch. Maybe we'll put the link to that too.
The meme version is better.
It was on Sherpa Wayne. We discussed that because you just could not get undistracted from that topic after we brought it up.
I know. The Mandela effect is real. So I was there when Mandela died, but no, I'm just kidding. That's like,
but everybody in Holland already knew.
Exactly. Yeah. So, all right, well, look, we've only got about 2 or 3 minutes. So quick answer to the question though, John. Vader.com, is it a trademark situation and that somebody should be worried about if they're buying Vader?
It's a father, and it could be short for invader or something like that. It's as with many of these questions, it's not always the domain name. Sometimes trademarks are so inherently distinctive that they mean nothing else. But where as most trademarks are common words, Monster, Red Bull, etc. It depends on what you do with it, and you want to be careful. Don't let the guys at a 5-letter parking company get their mitts on it. And
all right, no, that's good. All right, well, all y'all very much appreciated being here. We have about 2 minutes. Does anybody have anything they want to close with? In case Jen, you have anything you want to say? Because you've been.
I want to say thank you to everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you to all you guys for participating on the Domain Sherpa and helping us in our mission and taking the time out. I know that it is can be a burden, but I hope it's fun, and I think it's a good, worthy mission.
Yeah.
To grow the pie, as we say.
I would like to take a tiny little opportunity to say thank you to you, Jonathan, because this year has been like, I said to you, I was like, yeah, I'll do the podcast if it's fun. That was my only prerequisite. I was just like, if we're going to have fun, yeah, cool, I'll do it. And I have had so much fun just hanging out with you guys and getting to know you better and building a friendship with you. And I just really appreciate your time and everything that you've done for me over the year. And also a big shout out to Billy. I know, it's this kind of side joke, oh yeah, Billy does all this, he does this, whatever. Billy and JT are such hard workers, and I just don't think people really understand or appreciate how much time or effort goes into this show. And I just want to put it out there.
Tell Drew. No, look, yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
So that's all. I just wanted to say thank you. like for the opportunity. I have had tons of fun as well with you guys.
Well, and we really, really appreciate it. The work that you've also helped. People have not seen it yet because it has not seen the light of day, but we are still working on the revamp of the site. And there's some great work that you've done on that and just helping us get some stuff together and do the down the rabbit holes and all that. And, appreciate everybody else. I know Adam's been on a bunch of shows. John's been on a few shows. Shout out to Cam, too. She made the appearance in LA. And, as always, we support the ICA because the ICA supports us. And also big shout out to everybody else who's been on the show throughout the year. I mean, there's other folks, Shane, Braden, people that, we do appreciate the time that you've taken and, and sharing, again, knowledge, expertise, and everything else with the audience. It all helps to grow the pie, and we appreciate it. And I will also, I'm not going to suck up to the boss, but I am going to say, thank you a ton to Drew. This business, Domain Sherpa by itself doesn't make money, right? And we do have some very good sponsors. Big shout out to NameJet, big shout out to Dan.com. But it's not really about that. It's about carrying on, just call it the mission, the tradition of, continuing to just, try to help folks as much as we can in this space. Because we do think rising tide lifts all boats, even though at times we're giving up competitive advantage by sharing things that, other people in similar sort of, or even just industries where we're giving out the kind of information that we're giving out, be like, what are you, crazy? And, Drew is such a big proponent of that. And even as much as he can act like a curmudgeon and a Grinch, he really isn't that. And,
What?
I'm just playing, man. It's all love and it's all good. So anyway, all right. So Drew, I will give you, since I just called you out, I will give you, although it was more in a positive way than a negative way. And obviously appreciate Billy for all the hard work he does behind the scenes. Cause Jen, to echo what you're saying, and I give Billy a hard time cause he's my kid brother, but he's really been kicking ass. And, since he's really
Billy's the glue.
He is the glue, Mr. Ed Jator. I don't know.
Yeah. AKA
That's probably the worst
Ed.
one.
So that's your new AKA, Mr. Ed.
The horse getting turned into glue. That's what I'm saying. All right. On that, Cam, John, Adam, Billy, Jen, and Drew, thank you guys so much. And again, thanks to everybody else who's been on the show this year. Paige Howe, a few others. Josh, I know I'm missing some, but your time is very valuable, and we thank you. We thank you a ton. To the audience out there, everybody, look, as we say on every single show, without you, there is no us. Thank you so much for tuning in this year. We've got a lot of love for y'all. We've got a lot of stuff coming in 2024 that we're excited to share and to continue to do what we do in order to grow the pie along with the folks that help us do that. So thank you for tuning in. Please continue to do so. You want to hit us up? We're not hard to find. Otherwise, I want to say happy holidays, everybody. Please be safe out there. Have a great one. Look out for your friends, your family, your neighbors, and otherwise just, enjoy it while you can. And, we'll see y'all next time here on Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. Peace out, y'all. See you in 2024.
Thank you.